we go on different dive sites, a lot of people around, they're usually like, what does this do? What's that hose for? How do you get your air?
Scuba diving in 8-degree water it's pretty badass.
We dress for what we ski in, just like we dress for what we dive in.
I'm a little boy in a fat suit.
Alana kicked her fin up and it went directly into my mouth.
And I did it a bunch of times on purpose to be a jackass.
What do people see when they think of diving? I think a lot of people do see the diver in her bikini down south with just fins on, it's crystal clear water, but I don't know if I've ever been diving in a bikini in Nova Scotia, and I don't know if I ever will.
When I bring up scuba diving, people are like, oh, when are you going to be done scuba diving for the year? I'm like, never.
My name's Alana. I consider myself an honorary East Coaster, originally from Toronto, and I'm a scuba diving instructor and ocean educator. I've always loved the ocean. I actually learned how to scuba dive at 15 years old. As soon as I saw my first sea turtle, my first manta ray, my first coral reef, I absolutely fell in love with the ocean. And as soon as I realized that I could make a career out of scuba diving, I knew I had to go this route. I decided to study marine biology at Dalhousie, and that's what brought me to Halifax. 10 years later, I've done a little bit of world traveling, but something seems to bring me back to Nova Scotia. So I do consider myself an honorary East Coaster. The Maritimes is home. In this piece, you can see all the termites and wormholes. Creatures would have been eating the degrading, decomposing wood.
I think mine's a boomerang. Not helping. My name's Jen Meisner. I actually am an insurance trainer for a British company. Previous to that, I was a correctional officer. I grew up by the ocean, so I was always an ocean baby. The ocean for me is an extremely significant part of my life. I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie. I love a challenge, and if it's gonna put me on the edge of that line, that fine line, I'm gonna walk that fine line. I will definitely be on that tightrope.
We were at a wedding last night eating pizza at midnight, and here we are again eating pizza. Okay, sounds good. Want a hug? A bite? No. I'll push you.
My name is Sarah Vanderkaden, and I am from Ajax, Ontario. I grew up playing competitive hockey, and I still play hockey now. I moved to Halifax initially to do my Master of Marine Management at Dalhousie University. Once I get interested in something, I have to learn everything about it. So once I started studying marine biology, it just opened up the floodgates of this insane ocean obsession. And if you know me, I get obsessive about things like this sometimes.
Actually, a lot of research goes into the seabirds here. Green crabs are actually an invasive species. They're really aggressive.
Also, did you see all the tunicates?
That's, I think, a good spot to take a water sample. The questions never end. The relationships that you build with your dive buddies, it's a really special thing.
We always look out for each other. We have such a good dynamic because you can't speak under the water, but we always know what the other person's thinking.
Sarah, Jen, and I make up the core group. We're all about ocean education and promoting the dive world in Nova Scotia.
We're always up for adventures. The more peculiar, the better. I don't think anyone from Torpedo Rays has dove on a UFO site before. Ah! What we pulled out of the ocean!
And we're definitely well known in the dive community now because we bring an element of excitement into the dives.
Today we are decorating a Christmas tree underwater. We like to do things that normal people do on land, but make it scuba.
We're always looking for that adventure, and just like Scooby-Doo, and they're out catching the monsters, well, we're out catching the mysteries under the water.
Because you never know what you're going to uncover. Maybe we'll find a shipwreck, maybe we'll find a skeleton, maybe we'll find a thumb.
Never seen a human skull.
Ever?
Today's the day. No? Have you?
Yes.
Jen is a riot. You can't help but love her because she's just so much fun. She's got such a youthful, energetic spirit. Like, she's 16 years older than me and she has way more energy than me.
Are you sure they haven't hired you for Oak Island yet?
Probably should.
We will after this.
Yeah, this is your audition tape.
I should have been in CSI. Sarah is like my little sister. She's very eager and she wants to just learn and be the best and just wants to develop all the time. But she's a fantastic diver. She's looking at things that I would never think to look at under the ocean. She likes to look at like the little like micro creatures, and I find myself I could be a bit brash or upfront really quickly, and Sarah kind of helps me fine tune.
That was bigger than I thought you would take. There's more. That's Jen. She's mean.
I was really enjoying
She's the mean
that.
one.
My first thought when I think of Alana is happy-go-lucky. She's got such a positive attitude.
Alana is really charismatic. Although she doesn't think she's a natural leader, she really is. She really just tries to make everybody happy and comfortable. And she's extremely knowledgeable about a lot of the marine life that we see.
It looks very tropical. I have my sea life book. We can see what it is.
She always will be the first to kind of look out for people, and I trust her with my life underwater.
Keep one hand on your rag and your mask, the other hand on your weight belt.
I owe all my successes in diving over the last 2 years to Torpedo Rays. Torpedo Rays is kind of like a clubhouse to all of us.
Where do you start when you want to learn to dive? Well, you come to Torpedo Rays, of course. So my name is April Weichert. We're at Torpedo Rays Scuba, and I am the manager here. We do everything from courses to retail to servicing to rentals. My parents opened this shop in 1997, so I think diving has always been a part of my life. So when I started diving, pretty much all my dive buddies not only were men, but kind of middle-aged men.
Some 10 years ago, the dive industry was really small and there weren't a lot of women divers in the industry at all.
Just like, okay, I really want to go diving. Who can I ask? Because there was the Sea Wolves, the men's dive club.
I was often the only one in the group of sea wolves. So April created the Sea Foxes.
So the Sea Foxes is an all-ladies dive club here in Nova Scotia. We've got about 300 members now, and we're all just women who go diving in Nova Scotia.
I believe they're the largest female dive group in all of North America.
We've had a lot of people move here, and they're trying to make friends, and then they get in the dive community, and all of a sudden they have 200 friends surrounding them.
It was more comfortable. It just felt more inclusive.
It's just so empowering seeing a bunch of women of all ages and all backgrounds and walks of life.
We can be friendly with one another. We can have no shame in helping each other gear up or deal with the problems that we may encounter. So I love the Sea Foxes, and that definitely got me back into diving.
Even in the short while that I've been diving, I've noticed a huge growth in the female diver population.
I do think we need more women in the dive industry. Right now we make up something like 30% of the dive industry.
Now I really dive with all women and women my own age. So it's really cool to see young women get into the sport, and I think that there needed to be a young woman in a leadership position in the industry in order for that to happen.
Sea Foxes!
Also, why'd your hand so bendy?
A lot of times people see it as a warm water sport. So when they see it here in Nova Scotia with our cold water, they think, what, diving? I had no idea you could dive in Nova Scotia. When in reality, we have some of the best diving in the world.
There's really colorful algae. There's lots of lobsters. There's tons of flatfish. And the wrecks out here, because we're such a historic province, the wrecks out here are amazing.
For probably 3 years, I've been trying to get East Coast Lifestyle to do something scuba. They always talk about surfing as part of the East Coast Lifestyle, and I'm like, well, what about diving? We are the graveyard of shipwrecks. We have incredible diving in Nova Scotia. It's absolutely part of the East Coast Lifestyle.
They reached out to April, and April volunteered us since we have bright tanks and great personalities, I think, is what we were picked.
Connected through Instagram and kind of set up this little promo video.
I think I embody the East Coast pretty well. Spend a lot of time in the Atlantic Ocean, so please accept me.
She hangs out with me.
Yeah.
I think she's probably like 75% there.
Okay.
She's got another 25% go, because it's hard to get the Ontario out of the Ontario.
I still say scallops.
I think East Coast lifestyle and the dive community are kind of values aligned. They're all about adventure and displaying the amazingness that is Nova Scotia.
It's really cool. We're at Cranberry Cove. You see the lighthouse in the background.
We're all connected to the ocean, whether we realize it or not. Like here in Nova Scotia, it's very kind of obvious that we're all connected to the ocean because you're never far from it.
My family's all lobster fishermen. None of them are divers. So they only know what they pull up in the lobster nets.
Even a few lobster fishermen that I've talked to have never seen how a lobster swims underwater because they've only seen the lobsters above the water or in traps or while they're banning their claws. While scuba diving, you see at least 10 lobsters every dive. So that got me more into eating them because there's so many of them around. Whenever we're filmed for a dive, it's a much longer process. When a production team is there telling you what to do or do it again or stand over there, get in the water. But it was part of the fun for sure.
I had so many people that I hadn't even watched yet, and people were like, "Was that you?" And I was like, "How did you know?" They're like, "The pink. We saw the pink. We just thought it was you." I was like, "Yeah, that was me." I never really liked pink as a kid growing up. I was a big tomboy, but then I got drawn into hot pink, and I was just like, you know what? I love the color. It's bright and energetic, and like kind of like me. I am bright and energetic.
I'm the plain, so these are all aluminum tanks. So I dive steel, everyone else dives aluminum. So unfortunately you can't get the fun colors in steel. I'm just Sarah again.
Yeah.
Oh, poor plain old Sarah.
Wait, put on your glasses. Like Sarah with an edge.
Yeah. I think a lot of people know Jen as this like funny, really high energy spirit, which she is. Jen finds all sorts of old garbage that we have to learn more about.
You call it garbage, I call it treasure.
But I'm also one of the people that's really close with her. Like she's one of my best friends. And so I see the side of her that I think not as many people see. She'll be the first that if something's wrong, she'll notice and ask you if you're okay. And she's a really good listener.
I recognize that every opportunity is an opportunity that's one for adventure and fun, and to share your positive experiences and growth and development with everyone else. I had a lot of trauma happen within 6 months. I had 5 people die, and then my cat. This one is actually a tribute piece. This is actually one that I got for my partner who passed away. So it's the last animals that we saw when we went on our dive. So there's a sea turtle. Justin passed away at Christmas 2020, Christmas Eve. When I lost Justin, I was like, have to do something for my wellness. After working in the jail for a while, you see a lot of depression in there. So you kind of know what you have to do as a person. Even though you don't want to, in your heart you know. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna dive. And so I went to April. I saw the Sea Foxes had created a group. And after that, I met such a great community of girls. This is where I met Alana and Sarah. Alana really brought me around to wanting to go back into it and wanting to dive again. And diving is the one thing that just kind of keeps me calm and keeps me in control. And that's the thing with diving, you always have control. Oh my God, it was so much fun. I was chasing lobsters as usual. Saw a few fish, looked for a seal, didn't find them. The way I can pass on my knowledge to other people in these situations has been really beneficial, because I have had a couple people come up to me and be like, how are you doing this? The grieving doesn't stop. Like, you don't stop. I could cry any day. But at some point, you just can't live and suffer. You have to move on, and you have to do it for your friends. You have to do it for your family. So you just got to think about that and like keep on going, because all I want to do is help inspire other people to be their best selves.
We are at Sandy Cove.
Cove in Terrence Bay, just like 30 minutes outside of Halifax. One of our favorite sites, and it's very popular on the Saturday morning. I think there is an open water course and a club dive and just a bunch of friends out here to dive.
In the open water course would be the very first course that somebody takes to get their certification to be a diver. So that's kind of your first step at getting into the sport.
Sandy Cove, I would describe it as a classic Nova Scotia dive site.
The topography is kind of cool to see, and there's always lots of life.
It's great for kayaking, it's great for diving, it's great for paddleboarding. You'll see fishing boats. So it's a very, very busy area.
We had the streets lined up with divers on a cold, windy December morning. Yeah, we had our box truck at the dive site that day, and in the back of the box truck we have a big heater going. We've always got coolers of hot water, so it's like a clubhouse on wheels.
Oh, we're going for a nice, warm, refreshing dive.
A really warm dive. We're super excited. I'm Julia. I'm originally from Petite Riviere and a little bit of the Annapolis Valley. I came to Halifax to do my degree in neuroscience. I lived next to the beach my whole life, but it was mostly just after I started diving that I really felt like I want to spend my life on the ocean.
Julia's like a massive adventurer, so she's always into kayaking, she camps, so she's always up for an adventure just to be outdoors.
My favorite part of diving with everybody is like the hour and a half before and after the dive, where we just hang out and like we'll drink a coffee and just talk, and then we'll go for a dive. It's like 40 minutes sometimes to get out and have a beer after.
Workout? I've been waiting for the nudibranchs to come back. They like the colder water, and now that it's December, the water's getting colder, and I've heard that the nudies are back, so.
Nudibranchs are sea slugs. They're like, imagine a slug that you see on land, but they live in the water and they look really funny looking.
The clowns of the sea.
The clowns are no, that's us.
It is us. That's why we get along so well.
They have these rhinophores on their head. They look really similar to eyes, but they're more like sensory organs other than eyes. They got butt gills poking out of their backs, just like us.
Just like us.
I actually did my advanced course with Jen, Alana, and Sarah, which is really funny because we didn't know each other at that point, but honestly, those guys really brought me into diving, and now it's a huge part of my life, and I can't stop.
Julia is such a great person to be around because she's always smiling. Julia is just so full of one-liners, and it's always when you don't expect it, and then you just realize how funny she is.
Reminds me of, I see Jen, I see, you probably didn't have romper room. I'm the oldest one here, so they actually don't remember.
Don't remember.
Hi, Mom.
Is that from the 60s?
Romper room?
Alana. I would describe her as, like, she lets things roll off her like water. Sarah is like the sweetest person anyone has ever met. Like, she's so caring, so thoughtful too. Like, oh my gosh, Jen is always, I'm always having fun with Jen, like always having fun.
When we go on the different dive sites and there's a lot of people around, they're usually like, well, that doesn't look like a wetsuit. And so you have to go through the whole spiel and start explaining that it's a dry suit. It's supposed to keep you dry. Doesn't always, but it's supposed to keep you dry.
Diving dry, like wearing a dry suit, is a lifesaver. You get your cozy layers on.
I'm a little boy in a fat suit.
You get the dry suit on, and then when you're in the water, it doesn't really matter.
Go, go, go!
Oh my god, this is stressful to watch. She's gonna pass out. Take a breath. Are you okay?
I always compare it to skiing. You're cold when you ski, but you're bearable cold. And, you know, we dress for what we ski in, just like we dress for what we dive in. Now this is our album cover.
Yeah, our mixtape. Well, April and I were waiting for the girls to get their fins on, and so we just started holding hands, and we were joking that we were in Shavasana, like the end pose of yoga.
And then Alana kicked her fin up, and it went directly into my mouth.
Then I did it a bunch of times on purpose to be a jerk.
Yeah, I know him. I think she tries to kill me every time.
Alana, that went directly in my mouth.
Holy
Sorry.
We're so well insulated, so you really don't get that cold, but when you dunk your head over for the first time, you get a little bit of a brain freeze.
Sandy Cove. You'll see a lot of sea creatures there. So my favorites are always the skelpins and the sea ravens. They're beautiful, they're so bright.
So I do remember seeing a big red sea raven, and they're really cute. They have little gangly beards.
The fish species in the winter they go away and you don't see as much like large fish species in the water, but then a lot of the invertebrates come out because the fish species are gone, so they can kind of come out of their little hiding places. I know when I go there in the spring, there's lots of jellyfish. They are broadcast spawners, so they'll release eggs into the water column, and there must have been thousands of tiny little jellyfish just surrounding us. We were pretty much in jellyfish soup in the water.
And we got to see a nudie, so that's always exciting. It's a pretty chunky little fella too. One of the salmon flabellinas. They're really frilly on the back and they're kind of peachy, pinkish color. Really cute.
Diving it's just something so amazing. You meet incredible people, you have incredible experiences that are very unique that not everybody gets to do.
It's motivating because when you first start diving, you're not very good. But when you hang out with the crew that we do, who are like really great divers, you just want to keep improving. So I think in a way we all motivate each other to be better divers.
By the time we get out of the water, our moods are 100% better. Everybody's smiling, everybody's laughing.
Wasn't even cold.
And it makes us so much happier and brings us joy. So we just got to convince ourselves that we want to get in.
Nice.
Going into the ocean scuba diving in 8-degree water it's pretty badass, and like immediately you have bragging rights because you are more hardcore than many divers in other parts of the world. That's like a pretty cool kind of aspect of Nova Scotia diving.
I mean, I always say that diving changed my life. I really don't know what I would be doing without diving. You just get this high that I don't know if there's anything else in the world that can give you that kind of high.
I feel like an astronaut almost. There's always just a point when you jump in and you're just descending and you're looking down, you're like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I could do this forever.
Torpedo rays, they've been so instrumental in bringing the dive community together.
I'm really proud of April because she's making waves and she's really making diving cool again for young people, I would say.
The sea foxes were around before I got super into diving, and the sea foxes is what got me into diving, and to see that I'm now a part of that community and can do the same for other people it's very rewarding for sure.
I think the sea foxes will just keep growing and growing and growing. We noticed this year we had more women learning to dive than ever before.
All of my best friends over the last 2 years I've met through diving.
I've got this crazy group of friends now. Like, it's just been so positive.
It seems like it was meant to be because we've been on so many great adventures since then.
Stay tuned. Yeah.